everybody to our February MTPD. We are so excited to have you here. This is a very special MTPD because normally these sessions are led by master teachers, but this time we actually have the great honor and privilege to have two UTeach alumni leading this session. So they have become the master teachers today, and we are going to learn a lot from them. So I'm very excited. So today's session, we are going to be talking about empowering pre-service teachers through maker education. And I would love to introduce our two presenters today. So Aminadab, if I got that right, taught high school math and physics for 3 years at a project-based school in Austin. He was in the first cohort of Dr. Shelley Rodriguez's Maker micro-credential program. He is now a Maker mentor to pre-service teachers. And Lizzie Burnap is a UTeach graduate and passionate educator. After 5 years of classroom experience, both in the US and abroad, she has returned to UT Austin to pursue a master's in STEM education. She is a Maker mentor to pre-service teachers pursuing a Maker micro-credential. So we are very excited to have them present today. So Lizzie, Aminadab, whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Sweet.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for being here. I'm sharing, right?
Yeah, we're going to be working on some slides today. So I'm going to put the link in the chat so that you guys can click through some things and access links and stuff. But we're also going to share screens so that we can all be on the same page.
Woohoo. Here we are. This is us. So yeah, our director is Dr. Shelley Rodriguez. She's at UTeach Austin as well. And we're very excited to be here. Should we get started?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, here's our overview. We did treat this as a 5E lesson plan. So we have a little engagement jam session just to highlight some maker identity. And then after that, we're going to have an exploration where you get to go through some of our maker showcases and do a little share out afterwards. Finally, we'll do an overview of what we went and saw and the process or the structure of the maker program. And then finally, just some Q&A and next steps.
Yeah, and feel free to ask questions throughout as well, but we can have some time at the end for anything that's lingering.
Yeah, I like to have this participants thing open because it shows you if you have a raised hand. So if you want to raise a hand, feel free to do that. Okay, so jam it up. Lizzie posted the link to the slides, and I believe this is slide 3, where we have a link here that will take you to a Jamboard where we will quickly introduce ourselves and show us a little bit about what making means to you and what making an education looks like. I'll go ahead and open this up. Is it still sharing? Nice. Great. So once you click here and we get here, we have a couple of examples that we'll go through for ourselves, and then you make your own.
Yeah, we really want to get at the idea of kind of like what is y'all's background and expertise when it comes to making, and kind of how do y'all think that plays into education, as well as just getting to know you guys. So we'll talk about that for ourselves first.
All righty, I'll go first. So my name is Aminadab Morales, and like Elisabeth said, I was one of the first makers to graduate and be a fellow. And now I'm a mentor to the teachers. So making to me at first really just meant doing anything with your hands. And I put a little picture of a little kid and presumably his dad, because that's what making meant to me. I would just follow my dad, or he would take me on his work trips, and I would mostly help clean trash. Maybe he'd let me paint a restroom. And that's kind of what I used to think making was, just kind of anything with your hands. And now this bottom picture, to me, making just means anything where you're representing yourself or telling a story of anything that you've used some sort of tech to tell a story about yourself and something you're proud of and learning things along the way. On the left, I have what making an education looks like to me. These are pictures of my students, ex-students, I guess. where they're collaborating and creating something that they're proud of, something they struggled with. And yeah, one of yours?
Yeah. Okay. So like Elisabeth said, my name is Lizzie Burnap. I graduated from UTeach and at UT Austin in 2017. And now I'm back there getting my master's in STEM ed. And I didn't do maker undergrad anything, but now that I'm working with Dr. Rodriguez, I've really fallen in love with the whole maker movement in education. So what making looks like for me is kind of learning new technology and new tools to make something that I like want to exist. And I'm very much like into creating like cute little fun things and learning like fancy tech, like laser etchers and 3D printers and glass blowing and embroidery in order to like make fun, cool things exist. Making for my students or in my classroom has looked different in a lot of different times, but really, again, it's just about empowering students to follow through on their ideas. Especially with the students that I've worked with, they have these ideas and they don't have the tools or the skills yet to bring that into existence. So it's just providing those skills and that scaffolding for students to use the content we're teaching them to make something interesting and fun. And especially now that I'm working with undergrad students, and our step one final project is a maker-based project, and seeing these inspired, incredible, creative, like educational tools that step one students make and how they put their identity and personality into it is so inspiring. So I've really, really enjoyed the maker part with working with my students.
Sweet. Thanks. Okay, so now you get to go and, oh, cool. Looks like someone's already started. Elisabeth, you get to go and just go in and create your own frame. And like we said, tell us a little bit about yourself and what making means to you and how you see making playing out in education.
We're going to give you guys about 5 minutes to claim one of those Jamboards and put those, there's some instructions here on the screen or on the first Jamboard. And then we'll kind of share out with what making means for us.
Yeah. Any questions before we start this timer? Thank you for putting in those ideas. We're going to allow you to discuss with a partner. So we have some breakout rooms set up just to go over what you created.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. You'll be there and with one other person. We're going to give you guys about 3 minutes to kind of share your ideas about and background with making so that we can kind of come to a consensus about what making is or what making might look like for UTeach.
So we can share. So we also did a maker project for several semesters. That's our final step one project. And I was sharing in my room. We have a YouTube video actually of the different maker projects where to sort of see some of the different things they came up with. And there's some really cool and creative things. And you don't get to see that side of your students until we did the maker project. And I had no idea how many of them were very talented artists or coders or poets. And so it was kind of cool to see that side of them.
Yeah. And I think once you invite students, whether those are pre-service students or high school students, to bring those parts of their identity into a classroom space, that's when that connection to content really becomes like concrete and real and part of their lives. So it's really awesome.
Very awesome.
Something else that we heard when we were kind of jumping around the rooms was like, oh, maybe I already kind of do this. Even though it didn't look like maybe what you think making looks like. It doesn't have 3D printers and maker space tech, but that a lot of making already happens in our lives, and that it's just kind of about expanding what that looks like and adding some new tools to make it even more impactful.
Yeah, we're makers.
Yeah, we're all makers.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Two things that always come to mind when I think of making in teaching is at first, making really allows for a teacher to make very meaningful connections between content and its real world applications. Because making is really all about putting an idea, a concept into a real world application. And the other one is, I think for those of us who have grown up in the UTeach model of 5E, making provides lots of opportunities specifically when it comes to explore and elaboration. The two
Yes.
parts of the 5E model that I think are weakest for a lot of students, because making is all about exploring and elaborating on your knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah. Something I hear a lot recently is the focus on a product.
Mhm.
And I want to push back, and I really think it's more about the process, being put into that product and reflecting on that,
Mhm.
that is sometimes missed out
Yeah.
in making. But to move on, we have this little promo video we made a while ago. Please enjoy.
Making to me just means having the ability and the confidence to create something. If it doesn't exist in the world and you want it to exist, you just go out and you make it on your own.
Making to me means literally making anything, putting your ideas together. If you're really good at drawing, if you're really good at sewing, if you're really good at math, computer stuff, putting all those things together, I guess, in a way that works.
Maker education is incredibly important because it lets students just explore and get that sense of agency that they can do things that they didn't realize they can do.
I think making is important in education because today students go out into the real world, they don't know how to apply that information, and in making they can integrate thinking and doing, and so students are able to take what they've learned about and build something tangible they can show off to their friends or their family, and they can just see for themselves that what they've learned in school can be applied to something real.
I really like the skills that you learn and how you can incorporate them into lesson plans to make them more engaging, and being able to see that individual creativity come out.
I'm interested in UTeach Maker because I love making personally, and I would love to implement making in my future teaching.
I'm interested in UTeach Maker because I grew up making things, sewing and embroidering and knitting, and I didn't realize how that could be useful in education. I thought it was just a side hobby. And then in UTeach, I saw how making was relevant for UTeach Maker. I'm hoping to become better equipped. I am moving to Taiwan to teach at an international school, and there I'll be starting my own makerspace. And I realized this is cool and this is interesting. I want to spread this knowledge with everyone. I am a UTeach Maker.
I'm a UTeach Maker.
I am a UTeach Maker.
I am a UTeach Maker.
We are UTeach Makers.
Oops. Don't want to see it again.
So those were some of our, that was the first cohort that Aminadab was also a part of, going through the UTeach Maker micro-credential and kind of how we define making and think about making at UTeach Maker.
Yeah. Sweet.
Awesome.
All right. We get to explore now.
Okay, so now that you've seen some of our pre-service teachers and current teachers and what we think about Maker, we want y'all to get the chance to see what these people have made. And we're going to do that in the form of their showcases. So if you click here on this fancy computer, it'll take you to our UTeach Maker fellows, which are our graduates from the program, and their showcases. And there are a lot here, so you can scroll. There's people who did projects in astronomy, math, physics, chemistry. So you can
Got
it. So you can find something that kind of falls in your content area. And we're just going to give you guys a little bit of time to kind of click on the names, and they'll take you to their showcases and kind of explore those showcases. Notice find things that you notice, what different showcases have in common, how showcases are different, and then maybe come up with some questions that you have based on the showcases. In our slides, if you click forward, you can claim one of these and add your name at the top and just use this as like a note page for your observations and questions that might come up. So if you kind of want to add some notes there just to kind of guide our conversation after our exploration, but you definitely don't have to. And then we're just going to give you guys about 7 minutes, find some observations, explore some of these awesome showcases from our graduates, and then come up with some questions that can guide our conversations moving forward. Okay. So hopefully you guys got the chance to look through some showcases. I'm not sure if anyone was using the notes. Oh, it looks like Logan was. That's awesome. But we can kind of just have a conversation about what we noticed looking through the showcases. So does anyone want to share what kind of stood out?
I saw a lot of diversity, like every project was very unique compared to the others.
Yeah, awesome.
So we have things you noticed and maybe things that were different in any of the showcases. So we have diversity.
Well, I hope you got to see some of the projects that students, graduates from our program have worked on. And some things hopefully did stand out. If you want to move on down to slide number 12 with us. Our maker showcases, this is how we define them in UTeach Maker. It's kind of this open portfolio, usually in the form of a website that students complete at the end of their UTeach program. So this is kind of the culminating thing that they do at part of their micro-credential. It shows a repository of all of their work that they've worked on throughout their UTeach Maker experience. And it's like that personal expression of Maker. And we usually include their personal Maker philosophy, their Maker projects that they've worked on throughout the program, what education, how education and Maker connect for them. So how they've used this in their own classrooms, and then how it serves and how they involve themselves with the Maker community. There's another website here that kind of overviews even in more detail what a Maker Showcase is and how we use it in our program. If you want to click on that guy, you can learn some more about that as well. But there's lots of pieces of our program. So Aminadab's going to kind of talk us through the other pieces that help support our pre-service teachers.
Yeah. So like Lizzie mentioned, the Maker Showcase is like the capstone, right? But they're really working on it the whole way. It's not just something they work on at the end. So we have usually applicants enter in their first or second year of their undergrad journey. And so we present them with this goal of having this showcase where they need to present it in front of our community, and they will get reviewed by someone external. It used to be someone from like MakerEd, but now we're looking for a lot more people because we know MakerEd actually ceased to exist during COVID. There's a great gap for us to fill. Anyways, so they would get review and an opportunity to reflect and revise, and then we would issue them a micro-credential. Along the way, like we offer a lot of support. So one of the biggest things are our mentors and our internships. I'll actually go onto this on the next slide. This is a great resource. Here we go. Oh, I clicked twice. Okay, so our mentors. So if someone joins, they get assigned a mentor who is usually a Maker Pro. Most of our mentors are current teachers who either operate a maker space or have been through the program and just involved making in their classroom. Aside from the mentors, we also have monthly meetings where we'll do workshops on skills. It could be soldering, it could be wood cutting, wood shop. These will either be hosted on campus or at a maker space. That's something that we're trying to get back into after COVID. So that was one of the most fun things, was going and exploring maker spaces themselves. So we have the monthly meetings, we have the workshops, like I said, and then we also provide opportunity to discuss the role of making in education. Sometimes we'll have readings that we'll do at our meetings and then discussions. We'll also talk about projects, semester projects, which kind of leads into community events. Last semester, we had a group project that was aimed at Austin Pets Alive, that's just an animal shelter. And we then got to team up with them and go to one of their community events that they were hosting for, was it adoption? It was like an adoption thing. And we got to table out there and just kind of connect with the community and show them what we're doing. So we have monthly meetings and we have these community events. Our next community event is actually during South by Southwest. We're going to be hosting something at St. Edward's. Yeah. We used to go to maker fairs. Hopefully we can bring those back. And then the internships were really helpful because you get to be in a maker space or at a school who is doing some sort of maker activities and learn that way. Yeah, these were some of the supports we offered. Do we have any questions so far?
Does everyone get an internship or do they apply for those separately?
Yeah, you apply to them separately. I don't think we had enough internships for everybody, but yeah, we applied to them.
And I think it's been really awesome. We're both mentors now in the Maker program, and it's so inspiring to see students like pre-service teachers that are going through the UTeach program get excited about what Maker could look like in their future classrooms, but also get excited about making themselves. So like at our monthly meetings when we get to like learn all these new tools, and then they're working right alongside UTeach Maker graduates who are currently in the classroom, and they're like learning about like micro bits, and they're saying, this is how I would use it in my classroom, but they're also getting to make something. Like last meeting, we made Valentine's Day cards. And it's just like a really kind of inspirational space where people in different parts of their maker journey are coming together to learn and talk about education and talk about maker. And I think all of these little support pieces build into that community of UTeach Maker that really serves our pre-service teachers at UT Austin.
Yeah, we can't expect to have our students be makers if our teachers aren't makers.
Yeah. And we have to give our pre-service teachers the opportunity to learn those skills and to practice connecting it to education if we want them to carry it into their own practices in their own classrooms. And so if it's not built into and supported by the whole community, then it's really difficult for them to do that on their own. So it's been such a cool opportunity, and I love seeing what our graduates are doing in their classrooms. It's so inspiring.
Okay, so any more questions about the process? I really like this process overview thing we made, because it really captures the whole program. I wanted to touch on the Maker Showcase tenants really quick one more time, because this project one is kind of vague. We really just mean that the student themselves are creating something. It doesn't have to be one big project. It could just be like you saw maybe in some of the showcases, a ton of little projects that they touched, just to show that they did invest in themselves and created something. Philosophy, just kind of the learnings and how Maker and education do kind of go hand in hand. And then the education piece is really what they have done in their classroom along the way to integrate making. So if it's during PBI that they did a PBI maker project, or they did do some sort of lesson in the classroom that involved making. And then community is just, we know that community is very valuable to anyone, but specifically in the maker environment where things can be so daunting, where it's really important to have a buddy or a community to help you get through that.
I think we're coming up on the end of our time here. We can answer any questions that y'all have. There's also a Google form here. So if there's any like specific resources that you would want, like we've got rubrics for grading projects. We have like tenants. Our website is really built out. But if there's any specific resources or support that might help you with incorporating Maker into your school, or if you have any additional questions that might need a long form response, there's a Google form right there for you to click. And I can put that in the chat. But if there's any other questions right now, we can answer those as well.
Yeah, our website is great.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive.
So I noticed on the showcases, they had, I didn't get a chance to look at them, but they had lesson plans. So they have to write a lesson plan for each of their projects, or just for their main project at the end?
No, just for any of the lessons that they put into their maker education, which is usually done through any of the other courses in the UTeach process. So they kind of get the double dip.
Wonderful. Okay, well, that Google form link is in the chat in case you would like additional resources or a question comes up, but we'll hand it back over to Elisabeth.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Aminadab and Lizzie, for sharing with us the wonderful work you're doing with the Maker projects and sharing those showcases so we could see some really great examples.